Alrighty, so today's the day I'm sticking this 5.3 in the Comanche. Using universal motor mounts. I'm going to be using the stock exhaust manifold and the stock truck intake with the 4L60. Some issues that I'm going to see right off the bat is going to be these exhaust manifold, the collectors. It's like, from what I measured, it's like 26 inches from there to there. And these to the tips are like 27. So what I'm probably just gonna do is I'm just gonna cut them off about right here, somewhere in here. And then I will add on some pipe to that and come down, hug closer to the transmission. Another thing that I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna cut these studs off right flush. Another issue I noticed right off the bat is motor mounts are off-centered. From what I was told, they line up with the passenger side, but not the driver's side. Looking at these, they appear to be identical frame rails, just mirrored. So what I did was I bolted the track bar from it. My initial plan was to move it back one spot to where they would then be lined up. However, they don't tend to line up like that. It would, and it would hug this body line really well if I cut these studs off. If I do this way, I'm probably going to weld it to the frame rail there. But before I do any of that stuff, I'm just going to drop the motor in and see exactly where it fits before I start modifying that or screw myself up with that. So yeah, I'm going to get going on this, get those things cleaned up real quick. And then I'll be back. Alright, so first initial look and thoughts on the motor being in. First off, I ditched the mounts that are in the way. I took off the exhaust, both sides. First thing I'm going to have to do is cut these mounts. Probably come back right in here somewhere, cut them off because they're hitting the block. This thing needs to drop down about 2 more inches to fit. I still need to go back some. Still got a little ways to go back, and that should clear there. This side, this motor mount sticks way too far out. I had already had it off, so I just went ahead and pulled it off, but I'm gonna have to cut this back probably to here because it's so much longer than the other side. But yeah, we're getting close. Exhaust manifold should work on this side because of that little cutout there. All I should have to do is cut off this collector right there, and it should be fine. This other side though, it's gonna be a little tricky. That back port is pretty close to the firewall, and here it dumps pretty much underneath it, which is good, and it dumps straight down, which is also good because room is very limited in this area right here. We got brake lines that run right there along the firewall and both fuel rails. I'm probably gonna have to move those somewhere. and probably beat that in a little bit with a hammer to get just a little bit of clearance. I can see that upper control arm being an issue with exhaust, but that's going eventually anyways because I'm running a 3-link passenger side, so that won't be an issue there. But yeah, I could definitely see how a car intake would make this much easier. But even then, this thing sits pretty low. But I'm gonna be up pretty high anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. And I drive in the swamps, so I'm not too worried about crushing it on rocks and such. Before I pulled the motor out, I measured the spring links compressed with the 4.0 in it. I measured the height of the sump of the oil pan, both front and rear. So I'm excited to see those measurement numbers once I get this finally in. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start pull this motor back out. I'm gonna cut this bracket off some, and cut the other one. What surprised me though was these motor mounts sit like this. I was expecting to go down to the frame, but it looks like I'm actually going to be going up to the frame, or at least to these mounts itself. Weld to that. I'll gusset it and everything like that. So yeah, I'm going to get this thing ripped back out, start some cutting, and then we will go from there. Alright, so update. I ended up deciding on ditching the factory mounts. They're just too much in the way with the exhaust. So I'm just going to run a leg straight up to the frame on both sides and box that in. Driver's side will work, or sorry, passenger side will work. I've just got to cut off that nipple there, and it should be fine. It'll be close. This here collector, passenger side as well, is I cut it off, but it's still pointing to the firewall, so I'm gonna have to redesign my cut to where I can go straight down with that one. This side should work well. You see how this power steering comes into play. It's a pretty close fit, but it does work. Driver's side is going to be the issue though with the exhaust. The manifold, it sticks out too far, and it hits right there on the frame rails. So what I may end up doing is either cut this piece off and go flat with it, or I may end up just cutting it along here and build a log and come down underneath the third cylinder. We'll see though. I'm just worried about getting this motor set in there today. This is the idea though. With the motor mounts, I'm gonna come in like this, just straight off. I gotta trim up this little piece here real quick, but I'll come straight over, and I'll probably come off the top of this as well and come down and box in this. I may even add a small gusset here and there just to keep it from twisting and kind of get some more surface area where it's holding instead of just two spots. But yeah, I'm gonna get these mounts made up real quick and I'll be back. All right, so she is done and it is raining, so I'm gonna try and make this quick. Hope I don't rush through anything and forget. But the motor's sitting in there, sitting on its own weight. It clears. That's about a finger. I'm gonna cut this out, dent it something. I got all kind of room there. So let's see, real quick. I took some measurements with the 4.0, the suspension and the distances. 4.0, sitting just like this is, the springs are 13 inches long. The distance from the front of the pan to the ground was 19 inches, and from the rear of the pan at the sump was 12.5. With this 5.3 truck motor in there, the springs are 14.5 inches, so right there it tells you it's already lighter. The front of the pan is 18.5 inches, which is only half-inch difference from the 4.0, and the rear of the pan is 11.5 inches, which is 1 inch difference from the 4.0. I stuck this thing down 3 inches past Novak's motor mounts, the way they design them. It works just fine. Really, you're only losing an inch of ground clearance. Again, this is on a stock Comanche 2-wheel drive, baby tires. So you put a list and some big tires on this thing. This thing's gonna be way up out of the way and not an issue. Let me show you the motor mounts real quick. I still gotta clean up the yard. Well, I'm also going electronic throttle body, so I gotta hook up this pedal. That'll be a fun little one. I'm also, next video I'll probably be doing, besides exhaust, will be the fuel tank. I'm gonna be putting the Tahoe pump in it, but that'll be another video for another time. Let's see here. Yeah, one of my last videos I did, there I go again. I said like probably 115 times. I thought I counted. So I'm going to try and do my best to not say as much, but that's how it goes. So these are the motor mounts that I ended up building. The leg comes right off. I welded it to the frame, and then I boxed in the top and kind of rolled it into this piece as well. I may end up still gusseting this. I'm not sure as of now. I want to get the exhaust in and routed before I do any more metal work to this thing. This side should work just fine. Passenger side, driver side will be the issue here. I'll probably, like I said in the other video, make a log and come down underneath the third cylinder. The Comanche has this little window right here that the stock harness went through. So all of this will be hidden inside the cab. You won't see any wires. Be nice and tucked away. Fuse box I'm gonna run over here, probably down there out of the way where you can't see it, just for a nice clean look. I still need to make the mount for the alternator. It started raining, so I kind of just gave up at this point. I need to clean up my mess and get out of this thing. Let's see here, you got the pump pulley. You see the difference there, why it was needed. That's pretty close, actually. I may end up grinding this down some, but I may end up running an Astrovan box as well, so we'll see how that goes. You do have to modify the return side on the Tahoe power steering pump because it hits the, I forgot, that's not even hooked up. I gotta get that, that's down there. Yeah, I might even be able to see an issue with this. Clearance issues right there, we'll see. But yeah, it's in there, it's on its own weight. That's all I'm gonna get done today. Appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe so you stay updated on my build with this thing. It should be pretty nasty once I get done with it. Hopefully it'll be as cool as the Cummins Jeep. That was a fun build. That got a lot of attention down at Jeep Beach. I've got 79 days left until Jeep Beach to get this thing running and on 1 tons and 42s. So we'll see how this goes. Appreciate you watching. Let me know if you got any questions. I'll do my best to answer.